is becoming easier and easier for individuals to take and create videos in their day-to-day life. As a society, we have reached a place where the consumer is also the producer, inventor, and creator. The focus of this video is to explore how educators can blur the lines and bring video production into the classroom. Classrooms are evolving. Video production and an educator's ability to use it to its full potential fits in perfectly with many constructivist, inquiry, flipped, blended, and other new models. This video will help educators explore what video production is, why they should consider using it as a technique to create an engaging atmosphere, and how it is being done already. The video is broken into 4 major chapters: theory, benefits and affordances, application, and assessment, to help educators focus on the area they are interested in the most. In each section, real educators will be speaking directly on the topic and providing research, examples, and insights. This CIP has many goals beyond the information in the 4 chapters. This video is made in true multimedia fashion and has been created out of many video options to give viewers a practical sense of what can be done with video outside traditional methods. In true inquiry style, the process and the product are tightly linked. Flip Player, Skype, Quicksilver, and iMovie are just a few of the possibilities for video production that you will see. Let us begin. The founder of constructivism is thought to be Jean Piaget, a Swiss developmental psychologist. He argued that development precedes learning, allowing the child to make sense of their world through a mental schema, where development precedes learning. In comparison, Vygotsky, also a developmental psychologist, places more emphasis on the social interaction of a child's environment, where learning precedes development. As an educator, placing learning before the development is more relevant in teaching in the 21st century, as we aim to make the student the center of the learning.
Lev Vygotsky was a Russian developmental psychologist whose major contributions to the field and education occurred between the early 1920s and mid to late 1930s. While Vygotsky was only able to provide roughly a decade of work, his contributions are ever present in today's classrooms. As a developmental psychologist, Vygotsky focused a great deal on not only the development of children, but the learning processes involved with their development. According to Vygotsky, learning happens because we interact with the environment. Further, he believed that we do not learn because we have developed, rather, we develop because we have learned. In short, learning precedes development. Learning new things enhances our developmental level. However, in order to learn, we must be presented with tasks that are just out of reach of our present abilities. Tasks that are too simple or already within our present abilities do not promote learning. On the other hand, tasks that are too complex become frustrating, and no learning occurs. Vygotsky believed that those tasks which are just beyond our present ability exist in what he called the zone of proximal development. The tasks in the zone of proximal development are the things we can almost do ourselves, but need help from others to accomplish. After receiving help from others, we will eventually be able to do them on our own, thus shifting them out of our zone of proximal development. In other words, we have learned something. Here is an example. Little Johnny cannot swim. If he tried to teach himself to swim, he would most likely drown. However, if Johnny enlists the help of a swimming instructor, he will soon be able to learn to swim. In this scenario, swimming would be considered to be within Johnny's zone of proximal development. Why? Because it is a task he cannot accomplish on his own, but he can accomplish with the encouragement and guidance from someone else. Okay, so how does the concept of the zone of proximal development factor into the roles of today's teachers? Simple. The subject matter that teachers are going to teach our students falls within their zone of proximal development. Our students are able to learn the content. They just need guidance and encouragement from a teacher in order to do so. As teachers, we must be conscious of the fact that every student has a different zone of proximal development. In modern educational jargon, this means differentiation. Educators must design lesson plans that cater to the zone of proximal development for each of their students in order to avoid boredom and or frustration in the classroom. The take-home message? Every student learns differently. But, more importantly, every student can learn. They just need the help of a teacher.
Why is Vygotsky's zone of proximal development important to educators with connection to video production?
I think one of the most fundamental aspects of Vygotsky's theory is that it happens before, or that learning happens before development. And I think that's a key component to 21st century learning. Our learning doesn't fit into a perfect box where all we do as educators is simply check off PLOs and say, okay, we're done. I think the zone of proximity also proves that the role of teacher is essential as a student reaches to new levels of development in their own learning. The process of video production, from storyboarding to presentation and editing and all those wonderful things, fits in perfectly in tune with student-centered learning. And I think the product or the presentation at the end is what helps build confidence. So if you have a student that doesn't necessarily have the same skill level as the other group members, they're going to be able to achieve or attain a new level of development, and I think it's important. And I think he recognized that role of social collaboration in development, which is, I think, key in the video production process especially.
Key ideas of Vygotsky's theory that relate directly to the video production process are that social collaboration and environment are directly linked to the construction of new knowledge, and that it is essential that teachers act as a guide while new levels of development are obtained. How can teachers bridge theory into practice?
I think teachers like things that are tangible and useful, and they relate to their classrooms. And I think any educator who seeks to improve upon their practice has at some point, whether they've realized it or not, engaged in action research, whether it's just taking a moment after a lesson and reflecting on what just happened or keeping an actual journal. I think reflective practice is necessary to be able to attain the proper levels of modeling and scaffolding that our students need. When I was doing my literature review, there was one particular action research project that actually outlined a 5-point guidepost to implementing video production into classrooms. Now, with any action research, it's always generalizable to that one particular classroom. But I did like what they had laid out. Their first one was connection to content. And I think that's important too, because if we're simply checklisting off of our PLOs, I think we have to take the time and look at the broader context of what we're actually teaching and how to integrate multiple areas. Second one, using video production, not as an actual class, but an instructional strategy is really important. Just, again, another tool in the tool belt to help us maybe reach students that we wouldn't normally reach. A third one is incorporating critical thinking and reflection. Fourth was beginning with an authentic problem. And I think that is tied directly to creativity. And I think creativity is something that we've sort of pushed aside in lieu of more standardized results or skills that we're trying to, again, simply, check off a list of things. And the fifth one was using a design guideline, and I think that kind of plays into assessment. Assessment and designing maybe a rubric that actually is tangible to that particular classroom. So although the Hathaway and Norton action research project has very specific guideposts, I think any teacher could use those as just a template for their own, right? You could tweak it to fit your own classroom. And I think that's the one important part I took from that particular article. And I think it resonates not only with the autonomy we have as educators, but it kind of rests on constructivist approaches. In my own practice, I'm finally at the point where I can actually teach the same subject matter 2 years in a row. So although last year I was a little bit guilty of simply going down the PLOs and making sure I checked all my boxes, I think this year I'm going to definitely make it a goal to approach my role a lot differently. And approach it in a more facilitative fashion.
Video production promotes authentic learning and engagement because students are at the center of their own learning. Above all, creativity is nurtured and valued in the process. It also promotes literacy skills that allow students to synthesize large amounts of information into a unique perspective. The final presentation develops confidence in the learner and encourages the student to continue their development. Education is slowly changing to integrate 21st century learning, where the focus is on helping students develop key skills that assist them beyond the classroom. Similarly, developing multimodal literacy is one of the key aspects of interdisciplinary learning. Thus, participating in video-based projects will encourage students to develop these multimodal literacy skills. Allowing students to create video projects to explore subject content showcases their expertise, familiarity, and interest not only in the subject, but also in the terms of technology use. Furthermore, when we consider 21st century learning, advocates of student-created videos say that developing a video requires students to problem solve, think critically, and apply knowledge in their subject area, thus allowing them to build those vital skills needed to be successful in the real world. Student-created video actively engages the students in their learning, as compared to passively sitting in a traditional lecture-style setting, thus enjoying the project, providing a greater degree of satisfaction with the course, subject content, the professor, and fellow students. Teachers believe that student-led video production could lead to independent, active group learning and facilitate student creativity and potentially experimental approach to learning. Handing students a video camera might seem to favor digital literacy at the expense of more traditional forms of print literacy. However, students who engage in well-planned and well-coordinated video production projects employ and strengthen their print-based writing skills while simultaneously developing digital literacy skills. Since classrooms are so diverse, how can video production benefit those students with disabilities as well as ELL students?
Classrooms are so diverse, and the great thing about bringing technology into the classroom is it is a medium that students, who are also known as digital natives, are familiar with, and B, we can be pretty sure that on some level, students are knowledgeable about at least one aspect of video production. Student-led video production projects can be targeted in so many different ways that allow students of all learning needs to choose what part of the production they want to focus on and is the best for them to showcase their skills in that particular area. Video production is one of those technologies that can cater to kinesthetic learners, auditory learners, and visual learners. And in such a project, students can explore many different areas of a particular subject and work with their peers to divide responsibility for the wide range of tasks that the project entails. Similarly, for English language learners or ELL learners, students can benefit from supplementing verbal and written information with videos. Students can create videos that include closed captioning, which emphasizes the language by providing not only the spoken word, but also written speech. Furthermore, it allows for students to show their comprehension and vocabulary skills during